Okay, I'm back. It's only been a few hours this time, so I guess I'm just addicted to the agonal process of reading this book. This is the new self-harm. Try it. No, don't. Friday the 13th of December 2014. See what I did there? So I bet this day's gonna really suck. They say Friday the 13th is unlucky. Not for me. Tonya's off school, so nobody else in the bully gang felt like picking on anyone. Although I haven't. God damn it. You're off to a vaguely good start. Like, it's kind of funny that the day's lucky for him because the bully's gone, which he is personally responsible for. Although I haven't solved the problem with the bully. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Whatever. I looked at Persephone. Her eyes shone like rubies. Every time he describes her eyes, they are a different kind of gem. When Emerald is the only one that should be mentioned. She has green eyes. They are emeralds. Simple. Done. She flicked a strand of hair over her eye. I have a theory. Oh god, here we go. Maybe Friday's being lucky for me because I've forgotten it's Friday the 13th. Whoops. I remembered. I knew Friday the 13th was unlucky. Yes, we get it. We learnt about reproduction in science today. I won't even mention the details. 12-year-old me was incredibly sheltered, and to this day, back in the day, was rather prudish. Saturday, 14th December 2014. I guess his first week of being a vampire held absolutely no significance. If you were going over this with the seriousness of making an actual novel, you would cut out these days where nothing happens. Although, I did have an idea for a better title if I ever did pursue the rewriting of this book, and it's Slice of Vampire Life. Because I realised while going through this, that nothing much about his life changes upon becoming a vampire. It's literally a diary. And there's already a diary of a wimpy vampire, which if you are young, first off, where the hell are your parents? Or if you have a sibling or just a friend who's younger, get them to read the book. I think it's really good. It's not just like a rip-off of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It stands on its own. One more week until we break up from school for Christmas holiday. If you wonder why I'm not worried about going in the sun, I live in a cold country and I know from reading Dracula that sunlight doesn't kill vampires. Then again, I probably shouldn't put my faith in a book that was written over 117 years ago. Why do you have to be so specific with numbers? It doesn't make you look smart, it makes you look weird, and oh my god, I was autistic. I'm getting paler again. That was incredibly sooner than I expected. I might go drink Tonya's blood again so she stays off school for even longer. This is getting good, actually. Unfortunately, I don't know where she lives, and it's most likely in another village. See, because this was set in 2014, most people had iPhones with Google Maps. But because I was poor and didn't have an iPhone, I failed to consider that someone else might have the capability of doing this, which would make the plot flow so much better. I could put this like further in the past maybe, because there's nothing that really ties it to modern day yet. And if there is later on, I could just delete it. I don't know where she lives and it's most likely in another village. If you ask me, she deserves every ounce of pain. By the way, there's asterisks in this book because I took it from Diary of a Wimpy Vampire. And here's one of them. Apparently, Tonya bit somebody at her primary school so hard that a chunk of flesh came off and the victim had to go to the hospital due to blood loss. So technically, she's a cannibal. I feel like I should make Hall & Oates reference, but I don't think anyone would get it. Oh my god, and there's a little drawing there of Tonya eating someone. It's very bad. It is so bad. Sunday, 15th December 2014. Lazy day today, the details are unimportant. See, I feel like if you just sprinkled that in throughout the story, it would add like a touch of realism to it, which this diary entry has none of. Monday, 16th December 2014. I went to Sainsbury's and bought a packet of Pringles today, before school. When I got to school, as soon as I took the lid off and the strong smell of sour cream and onions wafted out, the whole school of 1,250 students dashed in front of me and almost begged me for a Pringle. I must have said no about 1,000 times to each person. That's based off a real life event. If you had food in secondary school, especially amongst younger years, it would become scav central. And I was the worst amongst them. Being in a poor family and being on school lunches and being absolutely sick of school lunches because my palate was sophisticated. I don't know how the fuck my friends could stand me. And it's hilarious that I had more friends then than I do now. The moment the bell rang for the beginning of school being spelt incorrectly, there was no noise but 1,250 annoyed grumbles. I could smell sour cream and onion Pringles, and now all I smell is envy. It truly is a sad life. Next time I go out to get blood, I might take a pinch of sugar with me to sweeten the blood. My history teacher is really queer. Sorry, nothing could prepare me for that. By the way, it's midnight, so I'm being a bit more quiet. I was trying to be a bit more quiet. I asked him what this long word meant, and he answered with a long word that I had no idea what it meant. I paused, stared at my history teacher, and said, thanks, utterly befuddled. I stared at Persephone. I couldn't stop thinking about her. I felt my heart beat faster in my chest as I envisioned a horrible image of me drinking her blood. After history, it was lunchtime. Looks like everybody else has found another reason to make fun of me. I never noticed until now that I was the smallest in my entire year group. The oldest, but the smallest, nonetheless. I'll have no sympathy if another vampire drains their blood, reducing them to a lifeless husk of bones, flesh, and innards. Damn. Okay, I don't know if this actually has me in frame. My front camera's fixed now, but I feel like for the sake of consistency, I'll just use my back camera. We're restarting this in a different place. I teleported. I know, crazy. I'm 22 now. Turns out when you teleport really slowly, you actually age at the same time. It's called walking. I'm very hungry now. Let's go, let's do this. Sam, the class clown, got a really bad nosebleed. Kirsten, the boffin, has a phobia of blood or something. She freaked out, and then the whole class was fawning over her, and she had loads of sympathy. I didn't get any of that sympathy when my dad died. Oh yeah, nobody gives a thought to me or anyone associated with me. Okay, so he's selfish. We are learning about the character. By the way, I'm gonna start, skipping stuff that isn't important, because while I would love to milk this series, it's doing really well, and I'm very happy with that. I probably should have, capitalised 3 years ago when all the jokes were just a teensy bit less dated and when Onision was a topical figure. Kirsten fainted. I'm not sure if she was shamming, but it's a bit of an overreaction. Then again, she is known for being 1, a drama queen, 2, a boffin, and 3, a girl with a phobia of blood. See, I wish I could say that was because of, the whole vampire thing, and this could lead up to a big, interesting reveal, but no, the real person just didn't like blood. I hope 12-year-old me at least had the foresight to use the whole fear of blood thing. But knowing him, no. He couldn't even tell he was a big gay. I went over to her, so I wouldn't look selfish and gain even more reasons to be discriminated. 30 minutes later, the whole class was buzzing about Kirsten, who had been taken out of the room. As I sit on my own, I couldn't say anything. An ambulance came 15 minutes later. Your mum came 15 minutes later. She wasn't faking it. Your mum wasn't faking it. Actually, that ambulance could have been there for anyone. Maybe it might have lost its way and ended up in our school. Did I really think that emergency response units would be that incompetent? This isn't 2020. Maybe they found out I'm a vampire and or mentally challenged. Then I saw Kirsten on a metal stretcher. It took me so long to find the word stretcher. Being pushed towards the ambulance. The back doors opened, and then she vanished into the depths of the ambulance. And then it sped off, and the sirens rang out through the entire street. This has no bearing on the plot. When I got home, I saw an anti-smoking leaflet in the bin. Why were you looking in the bin? She claimed she didn't need an anti-smoking leaflet, and that she was doing fine quitting smoking on her own. Then she rushed downstairs and had a cigarette. Well, one day you'll be funny, just, not today. I think English is brilliant. How the fuck do you make a typo with a pen? I don't see what everybody has against it. I admit, it can be a bit boring, but you get to write poems and stories. Stories is spelt with a Y. Nobody enjoyed anything today. What the fuck? Never has a true word been spoken. Nobody's spoken to me all day. It's actually a nice change, but I could use the warmth of friendly human companionship now and again. That's what dogs are for. I got bullied again at school, worse than I've ever been bullied. Make up your mind! I would have told the teacher, but I'd look like a telltale, and there would be a 10-hour argument between me, Mum, and the teachers, which is too stressful to cope with right now. I think Mum cares about me too much sometimes. So are you an isolated victim or a subject of helicopter parenting? There is no consistency to any of these characters besides from the fact that they're consistently shit. Then again, if I went home with the cut on my head, my mum would freak out, call school, and there'd be a 10-hour argument between me, mum, and oh, you get the picture. I walked home and practically prayed that mum wouldn't notice the bloody gash in my head. I put my black cap on. Luckily, it's a good day, so they shouldn't look too out of place. It is winter. I went home and pleaded to Lady Luck herself that mum wouldn't force me to take my cap off before I got out of her sight. And I suppose nothing became of that because he moves on to the next day. Thursday, 19th December 2014. My head has made a full regeneration. Being vampiric has its perks. I'll need to go out to get some more blood to drink. Desperately. Blue patches is beginning to appear on my skin. Beginning is spelt wrong. Wait, is it? Your handwriting's so bad I can't even tell if it's spelt right because it still looks wrong. I told Mum I was going to Subway with my friends at about 4 o'clock. Rushed to school as fast as I could and waited for Tonya to leave the changing rooms. Luckily, she was last again, so I hid in the shadows again. Just see my last episode for my previous notes. But before I could move, she turned to face me and punched me in the stomach so hard I couldn't breathe for about 30 seconds. I fell to the ground, bashing my head on the floor. She placed her hands around my neck and strangled me. Most painful experience of my life. Opposing to my 9th birthday, when I fractured my skull on a sharp edge of a radiator. I couldn't breath. I wanted nothing more than for the pain to end. Then I saw her open her mouth, and there were 2 fangs as white as snow. "Wait, you're a vampire too?" I gasped. "Yeah, so?" she sneered. She let go of my neck and I gasped for breath. "Did I turn you into a vampire?" I asked. "No, you don't transform somebody just by drinking their blood. The victim has to die, and then you have to give their corpse your blood, then wait about 6 hours for them to be reborn," she ranted. Okay, I said, completely befuddled. "How many other vampires are there in this school?" I asked. "Okay, so there is this rule in prose called new paragraph, new speaker. This is a new paragraph, but the same speaker." "About 15 others," she replied. I asked if she was the one who transformed me. "If I knew, I'd tell you," she continued. "Why? You're nothing but a dick to her, and he's nothing but a dick to you. The gang I hang around with, we're all vampires. We always tell each other if we've transformed someone." She also said that it's highly unlikely that the vampire would be year 9. They'd usually drink sixth formers' blood. She also told me that you get used to the scuzzy, disgusting blood. I asked her if Persephone was a vampire, and Tonya said she doesn't even know vampires exist yet, and we can't tell her, no matter how much we want to. She told me I could join the gang if I wanted to. I would have declined if I had any friends, but I reckon it's really cool. This is such a weird 180 for both characters. They didn't even discuss, hey, you know how last time you tried to kill me? Hey, do you think maybe you could stop bullying me, etc.? No conversation, just, hey, our characters have changed for the sake of the plot. Do you want to see how this goes? And they're like, yeah, sure, hope the author can come up with something interesting for the two of us to do now that our entire dynamic has been changed. Nothing happens. At least the plot is developing somewhat. I just hope this isn't just a moot point. Friday, 20th December 2014. We broke up for Christmas holiday today. It was a shame I only got to go to the bully gang, aka vampire, meeting once, but it was brilliant. What they did was talk about whose blood they drank. That's the wrong whose. Who they're thinking of transforming. Who they have transformed, different ways of collecting blood without any chance of being detected by humans, vampire slayers, police, paranormal romance fans, or CCTV cameras. I was incredibly shocked to find out that vampire slayers exist, but I reckon I've been keeping a pretty low profile. There's no CCTV cameras anywhere near the changing rooms, and Tonya was a vampire too anyway, so she couldn't go blabbing. I thought about telling Mum that I was a vampire, but decided against it. She'd never look at me the same way, ever again. I'd be a monster in her eyes. She'd kick me out. She'd call social services, the police, the armed forces. Or she just wouldn't believe me. We had a history lesson about the Battle of Hastings today. Why bother fighting? Wear titanium armour or something and stay in cover while the war blows over. If everyone else followed that rule, all you'd have to do is snipe the heads of anyone on the opposing army who sticks their head out of cover. This is a joke, right? A, titanium can't stop bullets. B, what? C, just shut up.
School ended with a lesson of religious studies. The whole class waited in silence with crossed fingers for all the lesson. The bell rings. The children stampede out. The ground shakes. The earth quakes. And it's not even Christmas yet. I walked home with Sophie in the bully/vampire gang. She gave me Tonya's phone number. Oh, little Pepe's pulling. Why does that sound dirty? I never knew she lived not 10 doors from me. How? Saturday, 21st December 2014. No school, lazy day, every day. That's actually iconic. Am I starting to like this? Is this getting good? Oh, here we are, never mind. Today I just laid, typo, in bed with a reggae CD in the radio and played video games on mute. That's pretty cool. I relate to this. Every time I went downstairs, Mum would be with Jacob. How many sleeps till Christmas, she'd say. And then Jacob would always get it wrong. Then again, he's only 4. I went back upstairs and turned the radio off when I remembered there was such a thing as an electricity bill, and I didn't want to help Mum pay it with my 125 savings from last Christmas. He said that in page 1. We're 49 pages in and we're already repeating stuff from the first few. Oh no. Is this going to be like some Groundhog Day thing where it turns out that the only way I reached 136 pages was just by writing the same 50 pages on repeat? What have I gotten myself into? If I get the same amount of money, I'll have 250. Great maths. Double that and I'll be able to get one of those next generation consoles everybody's talking about. I'm not too fussed about them at this present time in space, but I reckon they'll have some phenomenal games. Phenomenal could not be spelt more wrong. Phenomenal games in 2 to 5 years. We went to my grandparents' house today, like we do every year. As always, I brought my PlayStation 3, my DS Lite, my favourite video games, some CDs and DVDs, and some clothes. Try not to overdo it. When we got to my grandparents' house, I greeted and hugged Grandma and Grandad, then went in to do my science homework. Lies. Jake called and asked if I wanted to go out and play with him, and I took it as an excuse to not do any homework. So technically, I was led astray by my own little brother, my unsophisticated, meagre brain-celled brother. This is just bullying. He's just bullying his brother in this diary. I went back inside after he said, "Let's play hide and seek." Okay, that's kind of funny. That's a good callback to the previous... Holy shit, are we watching our little Luke growing as an author as we read? Actual fucking storytelling components? What the fuck is happening here? This is black magic. Who would have thought that a being with no brain could learn? 2 hours later, he found me inside doing my last sheet of homework. He asked me why I wasn't outside, but I didn't answer. Man's a rebel. I had to do my homework. I had no time to waste engaging with that imbecile. He's an idiot. He's brainless and he's standing right behind me. He snatched my homework from me and ran around the room. He runs almost faster than me. I ran out of energy and he ran out of the room. I thought that was unnecessary repetition, and then as I was reading the sentence, I realised it was intentional, and now I kind of like it. Oh no, is this the episode where the book becomes good? I have to get it back. That was my excuse for not bringing in my science last time Jacob took my homework. That was easy. I stole it from the living room when it was dinner. Luckily, he hadn't drawn on it yet. Sometimes I just want to rip out his heart, set it on fire, and watch it burn. Talk about heartburn. You need to be institutionalized. If you've been with me this long, I feel like part of you is just as engaged with the suffering as I am. This is part of us now. We're in this together. If you've been watching all the episodes, comment down below and I'll tell you what a good boy you are. Monday, 23rd of December, 2014. I phoned Tonya since I didn't have anything to do, and she told me some more facts about vampire. Then I went to take Cookie for a walk. Okay, I guess we don't learn what the vampire facts are. Cookie is my dog, a Westie. She'll turn 8 in Valentine's Day. I named her when I was 5, you were 4. I was walking down the street with Cookie, then I froze solid. The sight almost made me convulse in bad memory-induced rage. My primary school bully, Leon. "How you doing, Pepe?" he yelled from the other side of the road. I froze stock still with bewilderment. I walked off. I didn't want to talk to that cripple. My gosh. That has nothing to do with the story at all either. I I think I just found some new words and thought they sounded cool and wanted to put them in the book. I still do that, even though university says it's a lot better to, simplify your writing and not to get lost in flowery language unless you have a really good grasp on it. But I still actually make lists of words that I want to use. There's like over 1,000 now. It's crazy. And I will probably never do them. Tuesday, 24th of December, 2014. I wake up from a really horrible dream. I was like King Midas. I made a wish that anything I touched would turn into sweets. Why is it that you can't choose when your dream ends? My brain automatically switches or something, and then you think it's real. I turned apples to chocolate, people to Skittles, and world features like grass and trees into M&Ms. I woke up at 4 after turning my family into Skittles. Out of context, great idea for a story. My alarm was going off. I was drenched in sweat and breathing heavily. Although I'm perfectly accustomed to having bad dreams, this dream took it to new extremes. Man's got skills, His rhyming skills got you climbing hills. Then I heard tapping on the window coming from outside. It started to crescendo. I started breathing heavily. I was petrified. The tapping then began to decrescendo. I think the word you're looking for is diminuendo, but alright, sure. My heart rate lowered with the tapping, and my breathing ceased to hurt. So I went downstairs to have breakfast. Egg and bacon, toasted sandwich with ketchup. The heart rate lowered with the tapping is kind of clever. This also has no bearing on the story. I suppose, in retrospect, it could have been Leon, and maybe he turns out to be a bigger character, but I know that this guy could not set anything up to save his life. But really what this is a reference to the Slender Man short story that I wrote in the same year, where Slender Man is tapping on the dude's window, because that's terrifying, and I would like that to never happen to me, please. By the way, my address is in the description. I looked up at the clock. It was almost 2 o'clock. I've never gotten out of bed so late in my life, apart from this one day when I was 8 and I had a really bad cold. Great, thanks for sharing. Our lives are now enriched by this knowledge. Grandma and Grandad cooked really posh 3-course dinner. I was full before the main course. Don't add an exclamation mark like you're funny, you phlegm rizzler. I couldn't get to sleep tonight, knowing that it would be Christmas Day when I woke up. I guess he didn't feel like a full stop was necessary there at the end of that sentence. I mean, punctuation is optional. Have you seen Facebook? 25th of December 2014. It's midnight and I don't feel remotely tired. I went downstairs and made some tea. Then I heard a croaky voice. Trouble sleeping? It was Grandma. She was making some tea. She had a spare mug on the kitchen table with 1 tea bag inside. This is nice. The kettle started beeping. She picked it up from its holder and poured boiling water into each glass. She's making tea in glasses? They're mugs, silly fool. You had to ruin it. It was going so well. 2 sugars? She asked. Yes, please, I replied. She digged a teaspoon into the pack of sugar, dug, and sprinkled the grains of sugar, then stirred the glasses. Then we drank our tea and sat in the living room, talking and watching the TV. It was 1:30 in the morning, and I now felt like each of my eyelids weighed a ton. I am fairly certain he also said that in the first 2 pages. We are going back, we are in a time warp, this is Groundhog Day. Nice to meet you, Rose, run for your life. I bid Grandma good night, then tiptoed upstairs, trying not to wake anybody. I slipped into bed and blinked. Then it was light. I heard Jacob scream, "It's Christmas!" And then we both dashed downstairs with the feeling every little child gets at Christmas. This is the best written part of the book. If this guy just stayed away from the vampire crap and the whole, oh, I'm being bullied, my heart is so dark, this is a nice wholesome moment that should be in, all of the stories I wrote instead of, and then he died a brutal death. This endears me towards the characters, and now if they die, I will care an iota more. But just a very small iota, the runt of the iota litter. We waited impatiently for everybody to wake up so we could open our presents. Geez, I'm almost 14, and I am as fussed about Christmas as a 3-year-old, although my presents are terrible. Don't be so ungrateful, you've ruined it now. All goodwill has been destroyed. At about 3 o'clock, I went to my granddad's room and drew. Why are you in his room? First, I drew a picture of a Christmas tree. Then I drew my brother playing with a new toy bulldozer in his new clothes he got for Christmas today. Then I drew a phantasmagorical phantom. Then a phantasmagorical phantom phoenix. Can you tell I just found some new words and wanted to put them in regardless of how little sense they made? I looked in the mirror a while later and saw patches of blue, grey and green on my skin. I told Mum I was going to the shop. I don't know anyone in this neighbourhood and I don't know my way around the village. I looked up. There was a big house opposite Grandad's. I couldn't help compare it to Grandad's house. It was so much prettier. Grandad's house looked like an eyesore compared to the other. I sneaked to the back of the house and swung myself onto the shelter thing some houses have. I think he means the sort of slanted roof thing above the door. What the fuck are they called? I can't believe it took me 10 years to not know. I edged towards the window, trying to keep my balance. I slipped, and a tile slid off the shelter thing some houses have onto the floor. Okay, so it's a running joke now. Okay, sure, fine. Got it. I just managed to fling myself back up and stand firm-ish. I crept to the window. Luckily, it was open, so I crept in. You know the rest. The old lady's blood was very sweet. She clearly had her fill of Christmas pudding. Merry Christmas. That's kind of dark, but funny, but dark, but I don't know. I like the Merry Christmas. Yeah, that's kind of funny. Thursday, 26th December 2014. I got back home about 3 o'clock and crept back into bed. I woke up feeling well rested and refreshed. I went down and Mum had made my favourite breakfast, toasted egg and bacon sandwich with ketchup. Oh, I need to have one of those. I called Tonya from the vampire gang, and she announced there is going to be a new member of the gang. Her name is Orchid, and she's an emo. I told Tonya to tell Orchid that I hope she is welcomed with open arms, and predicted she will fit in nicely. Tonya then texted me with a picture of her. I asked Tonya why she knew I was hiding in the shadows the second time I tried to drink her blood. She told me that she'd been staying alert since the first time. She expected me to jump out, and it was quite predictable. I couldn't help but be offended by that, but in my defence, it was the first blood-drinking tactic I ever thought of. Oh, thanks, I murmured, not entirely meaning it. Okay, you should have had this conversation ages ago, but also, why are you offended by that? I sat down for a couple of hours, listening to love songs, thinking of Persephone. I think I'm in love. You have known her for 0 seconds, you bastard. Yeah, there's a callback. Groundhog Day, this bitch. Friday, 27th of December, 2014. Do you know what? I'm surprised that for the 26th, he didn't make a joke about Boxing Day being about, like, boxing, as in, like, fighting. That sounds like the kind of joke he would have made. Today there was a festival or something near town, and Mum made us all go. She always complains that we never do anything. Then Jacob barged in and asked me if I wanted to play football. Give it a rest. There was no point in arguing, so I sighed deeply and went. I don't have time for this. I'm undead. I don't need to waste my time with petty festivals. It was pretty cool. There was loads of funfair rides there and a rifle range. There was this ride. I was so ecstatic to go on it. That's not really English, but sure, go on. My mum assured me that it was the last ride. At least tell us what the ride is, you big silly knob. I wish I didn't go on it. It spun round, upside down, as well as zooming forward, stopping abrupt, then starting again. I was almost sobbing when the ride ended. Jake wanted to go on a ride that looked nothing more than 6 gigantic teacups. I won't lie, that one was a bit more my speed. I'm liking this. Me and Jacob had a wonderful time, and 0 grasp on grammar. We went home in a fantastic mood, so I played some football with Jacob for once. I won by over 10 goals. I can see why people love football so much. I don't want to go back to school. I'm sick of teachers staring at their watches for ages just to give us an estimate of how much time is left in the lesson when there's a clock right in front of them. What? Saturday, 28th December 2014. Oh, we're on page 69. I lay in bed for the awake last 3 hours thinking about Persephone. Her innocent green eyes, her dark hair, her pale skin, and long neck. Long neck? I don't usually say things like that. Ever. I'm totally becoming a proper vampire. I think the way vampires think nowadays, and eat what vampires eat. Well, drink blood. Anyway, I can't think of anything else. At least he's honest. I just had a thought. I hope it was a complete one. Vampires are immortal, so why can't they be killed? It defeats the purpose of immortality. Who could die twice? Asterisk. Humans die. I am not human. I am vampire, yet so much more. I'm a 13-year-old vampire living off the blood of school bullies and old ladies' blood, and very, very hard to beat on most multiplayer video games. I suppose vampires don't have enough human in them to die. You stole that from Harry Potter. Unless our heart is destroyed or we are beheaded. Therefore, having to wait 30 seconds of pain until all blood pours out of our body, because science has proved that the heart doesn't exist above the neck. Is that a joke? Or... Oh, it's so unnerving that I can't tell if he's joking. Also, why does it have to be a stake? And why wooden? Vlad the Impaler used iron stakes, not wooden. Besides, you could just destroy the vampire's head. Make them get cancer, or a coronary. Oh yeah, immortal, already dead, got it. Rip out their heart, force petrol down their throat, and get a lighter. Note to self, make sure a vampire slayer never gets hold of this journal. Speaking of slayers, I need blood. All this talk of gore made me thirsty. Should I leave my family behind and join a vampire coven? Where is this coming from? According to Tonya, there's quite a lot of vampires in America. I don't just mean cheesy horror romance actors in makeup and false fangs. That is so offensive to my kind. Should I start my own coven? Transforming school pupils of my age? No. Who would collect the blood? Would we slit humans' wrists and let the blood pour into a flask? Note to self, take previous remark into consideration. I'm surprised that the main character doesn't consider that maybe no one would want to start a coven with him. Why does that not occur to him? It's been not even 3 days and I need blood already. Soon getting blood will be on my daily routines list, as well as... He's actually drawn a little diagram for us. I shall now tell Mum I'm going to Tesco's Express. There is no S at the end of just to get some sweets. After 2 hours of trying and failing to convince her, I told her I'd pay with my money. She told me I was doing that anyway. I then said I needed to meet someone. Mum got that look in her eye that she sometimes gets. Who is it? She asked. Your girlfriend? I wish it was. No, I replied, trying to make her think that I did have a girlfriend. Then I stormed off after slamming the door. Drama lessons at school really do help. Do they? I ran for about a quarter of a mile, then saw a big house. I crept through the window. It's now almost 9:30 p.m. A girl around my age, perhaps older, is sleeping in a king-sized bed. Smug, stuck-up prat. She probably talked like an old Englishman. Oh, well, hello, top of the morning to you, laddie. That's Irish. Is he about to eat Jacksepticeye? The title of this video, Eating Jacksepticeye. What will she say if she wakes up and sees me? I say, what are you doing at the window? I crept in. I couldn't believe how easy it was. Rich people's daughters are so reckless leaving the door open like that. Pah! Oh no, I'm turning posh. It's all in all caps, but I can't be arsed. I don't have the energy anymore. I'm slowly withering away. I am what is left of a broken man. I slowly tiptoed towards the girl. Each step creaked. Shh, I hissed. My heartbeat got louder and quicker, like a steam train having coal chucked into it. Felt like it would jump out of my chest. My fangs extended and I felt a ticklish tingle. I giggled. The girl turned over in her sleep. I hid under the bed, and my heart probably popped as I jumped with fright. If she had a radio, I'd put a tape on, or CD of the Mission Impossible track. Dun dun, dun 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 dun, dun dun dun. Uh-oh, she's waking up. I was so lost in thought I had started singing the Mission Impossible theme aloud. I'm gonna go and cry right now. She woke up. I shushed her to prevent her from screaming, hoping my vampiric seduction powers would kick in. Needless to say, I'm not even going to bother saying they didn't, although I'm fully aware I just did. That was the most useless sentence in the history of sentences. She ran. I had to act fast. I grabbed a lamp and bashed her against the head with it. And again, and again, and again. I got ahead of myself, taken over by fear. I would have preferred the date, like Mum suggested. At least I haven't uncovered my species. But I thought, parents come, freak out, call police. There was nothing else I could think of. I came for blood, and instead I was giving it. I dipped my fangs into my wrists and held them against the girl's mouth, then thudded to the ground due to blood loss. Then, oh, what luck! A budgie! She woke up. That was fast. I must have given her a lot of blood. Perfect explanation for killing her budgie. Where am I? She wondered weakly. At your own home. Don't ask questions. Leave. Use this map to guide you to a friend of mine. And whatever you do, don't look back. All be seen, I whispered. So why does she have to run off, but Pepe can just stay living his normal life? What makes him so special? Glad I can get rid of that pointless map Tonya sent me when she discarded all her papers and emptied her bins in her room last week. Do you know what? We'll leave it there. We're on page 78, so we made good progress today. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, like it, and if you subscribed, then you're awesome. So I say bye, this sugar-free monster says bye, Bludgeon says bye, and I will see your bitch ass in the next video. Bye-bye.